Well, hello and welcome to another video tutorial by MooMu Media. Now today we're going to be looking at the Google Adwords keyword tool and how you can use it for SEO purposes and for keyword research. Now to find the Google Adwords keyword tool, if you don't already know about it, just do a quick Google search for Google keyword tool and that'll be the first result that pops up right there. If you have a Google account, do sign in and that'll prevent you from seeing a captcha. So getting started. The best way to explain this would be to use an example. So let's say, for example, that you were creating a site to sell second-hand cars. The first thing you want to do is start to think of the ways people will be finding your site and how they'll be searching for you. Obviously, second-hand cars will be a big one, but are there any other ways that people might be searching for that? And this is a great example because people might also be searching for used cars, or they might be searching for pre-owned cars. So it's important to think of all the different terminology that people might be using. So once you've had a quick brainstorm and you've thought of the different ways that people will search for them for your site, then you can start to put those keywords into the keyword tool. And that's what we'll do right now. So we'll type in used cars, second-hand cars, used automobiles, so cars and automobiles, and pre-owned cars. The next two fields, don't really need to worry about those. We'll look at advanced options and filters. There's a few here that will be put in by default. So for me here, living in Australia, the location is Australia, and that's actually okay in this circumstance because obviously cars are something that will be only really on a national level or a statewide level. So that's fine the way that is. If we were creating a site about, say, an informational site that had international appeal, we want to get rid of that. Languages all, that should be fine. We might want to change it to English and devices, desktops and laptops. So we can open up the advanced options and filters and we can choose other languages, choose other countries, and a few other parameters there, but for now that's fine. And we'll just click the search button and that'll load up. By default we'll be in the Add Group Ideas tab, and this will group all the suggestions together, but you can also click the Keyword Ideas tab and that will just list your keywords out without being grouped. I actually like this format here. So we can see now that Google has returned some information for those keywords up the top here, and also some suggestions down the bottom which we can expand and see the actual keywords. Excuse me. So we can see here for used cars, the competition is high for AdWords. Global monthly searches are over 9 million, and the local monthly searches are 368,000. And of course these are estimates, but they should be pretty good estimates coming from Google. Now you might be thinking that those numbers are quite high, and they are high for a reason. And what we're going to do is look over here at match types, and we can see here there's broad has been ticked by default. There's also exact and phrase match. So broad match basically means that Google is showing us data for any search that contains the word used cars. So it could be used cars Sydney, it could be best used cars, anything that just contains that word, but it could also contain any other words. So for SEO purposes, we normally like to just use exact match. So we can tick exact and untick broad. And this will drop the numbers quite significantly. And it's only going to show us data for that exact term. So just the exact term used cars, the exact term second-hand cars, and so on and so forth. And now we're going to get really useful data. So we can see here that we look down at these keyword ideas and we're just going to look for anything that looks promising. Cheap used cars, that looks like something promising that we haven't thought of. If we expand that, we can see that cheap used cars gets 720 local searches in Australia every month. Cheap used cars for sale, and there's some really good ideas there. And if we wanted to, we could put those words back through the tool and get even more suggestions. So if your site is just starting out, This really depends on where your site is, if your site has a lot of authority or if it's just starting out. In this example, let's just say our site is just starting out. We don't want to start targeting really competitive, high volume words because they'll be very hard to rank for. So there are some really great tools out there for really getting an even better idea of keyword difficulty. But just as sort of a top level view, the amount of local monthly searches, if that's within sort of the low hundreds, that should be a fairly realistic term for you to go for, and that is still going to give you some reasonable traffic. For anything that's sort of in the single digits, or sorry, the double digits, won't really be worth it. So if we see here cheap used cars at 720 local monthly searches, that could actually be a good keyword to target for, say, the homepage. Cheap used cars for sale, that might even be a good keyword to target for a sub-page on your site. So really it's all about having a play around in the keyword tool, coming up with different ideas, brainstorming. Just before I leave you, I'll give you another quick tip, and that's just to use Google itself. So if you type into Google used cars, the Google automatic search will actually pop up with some suggestion. I think it's Google Instant, sorry. So we can see here, used cars for sale, used cars Sydney, used cars Newcastle. So straight away we've got some suggestions, and as we continue to type, we'll get even more suggestions. So we can see used cars Australia sale. If we actually search for a term and then scroll down, right to the bottom, we can see the related searches, and these are also very useful. So we can see Subaru used cars Sydney. So if we had a page on our site dedicated to Subaru, that'd be a great keyword to target. And so that's yet another way to come up with some keyword ideas. So there you have it. A quick look at the Google Adwords keyword tool and how you can use it to start your keyword research for SEO. We hope that you found this useful, and thanks very much for watching.